A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to IDC's Asia Pacific Telecom Summit 2015. My name is Royce Lee and I'll be your MC for today. So kindly take your seats as the event will begin very shortly. Joining us today are highly experienced speakers and reputable from the industry. So we'd like to thank Principal Partner Schneider Electric, Premier Partner Cisco, Thought Leader Partner AppDirect. Earlier on during registration, you would have received a folder and a few collaterals in it. On your table, you have a feedback form, so please fill in and submit the feedback form to the registration counter at the end of the forum. Also, do join us on an online conversation as well, so tweet about the event using the hashtag IDC Telecom and tag us IDCAP, so you can take a photo of the speaker, venue, take a selfie, take a photo with me or of me, up to you. Be creative, be interesting, and be online. So the first 50 entries will be given a Starbucks card at the counter as well. So before we proceed, I'd like to kindly remind you to set your mobile phone to silent mode. So now I'd like to invite Sandra Ng, Group Vice President, Practice Group IDC Asia Pacific, to kickstart this event by delivering the welcome address. Let us welcome Sandra.
Okay, thank you very much, Roy, and a very good morning to all. Welcome to the 2015 Asia Pacific Telecom Summit. I know some of you travel from different parts of the region to be here with us, so thank you for gracing your presence. Certainly, we are very honored to have you with us. Now, for those of you who are familiar with IDC and have been attending our conferences, you would have heard us talk about the IT industry's third platform. And we started that message about 2007, where this rise of the third platform in the IT industry had led to innovation and growth. And last year, for the first time, we came out and talked about this transition towards the innovation stage of the IT industry's third platform. And this transition has actually sparked millions of developers and coders, creating digital transformation and massive third platform adoption on top of basically the foundation that has been laid down by the IT industry over the last 40 years. So what can we expect for 2016, given that we are almost towards the end of the year, about 5 more weeks before we kickstart the new calendar year? Now, in this new year, we are anticipating and predicting that organizations, whether you are carriers, whether you are service providers, whether you are enterprises, you will basically flip the switch, committing to a massive new skill of digital innovation and transformation on top of the third platform technologies, which include cloud, mobility, big data, analytics, social, IoT, 3D printing, robotics, cognitive computing, next generation security, and so on and so forth. Now, this flip of the switch has significant implications for the telecommunications industry. Firstly, because of this massive push towards a bigger scale, as the marketplace embark and progress on digital transformation, we are going to see more openness in the marketplace because organizations are trying to create new digital capabilities inside as well as outside of the organization across the ecosystem to be able to compete more effectively in this digital transformation economy. The second implication is, other than the openness of the telecommunication industry, this openness is pushing basically the competitive landscape to a whole new level. We are going to see more participants. We are definitely going to see more competitive options being made available in the marketplace. And hence, this is going to be a transition year for this particular event. And this is going to be the last year that we're going to call it the Asia Pacific Telecom Summit. Come 2016, this would transition to be called the Asia Pacific Service Provider Summit, and which is why we actually have a pool of attendees today coming from the service provider world, specifically O2O, which is offline to online, which includes obviously the e-commerce players. Now, IDC has begun to embark on this research. In fact, we have already done this research for quite a number of years through mobile payments and mobile commerce. But now we are actually investing more in extending the research into the O2O and the broader service provider space. And we have actually 2 analysts that are looking at this very intensely, producing new research. We have the Hui Xian at the back, if you can just put up your hand, based out of KL, and then Shiv, based out of India. These are the 2 analysts that are going to be spending a lot of time covering this broader service provider space that would include O2O. Now, some of you have attended our event a few weeks ago where we launched basically our predictions for the overall ICT industry, and later on, Dustin Kehoe, after this opening address, will come out and talk specifically about the telco industry in terms of what to anticipate for 2016 and beyond. But a few weeks ago, we came out and talked about the broader ICT industry, which obviously have significant implications for the communications and the service provider sector. And one of the big trends that we are seeing, or I should say the biggest trend that we are seeing in the marketplace today, is DX, or digital transformation. And this is not just about launching new digital services and digital initiatives, but this is really about scaling DX in the very broad sense and in a very holistic sense for organization. So regardless of whether you come from the network background in the telecommunications industry, or you come from the O2O or services industry, whether you're an e-commerce player and other service provider, this will actually apply. Now, the aspiration for organizations today is to become the digital enterprise. And to do that, you certainly would have to ensure that your DX strategy vision is a very holistic one. And that's why we actually came out with, on the most left-hand corner here, our top 10 predictions, the priorities and the agenda items that we call out as most critical for 2016 to 2018. But to become the digital enterprise of your industry and the sector you play in, certainly you must be able to create digital capabilities, leveraging the innovation and the R&D coming from the IT industry. And that's where the second box in green come into play. And this is where we talk about the top 10 predictions from an ICT industry perspective. And then finally, but certainly not the least, as basically coming from the IT department. Obviously, all of this has huge implications in terms of IT professionals, in terms of IT expertise. So when you look at organizations, and this may not just be the CIO, this can be any of the C-suite that look at technology as a competitive tool and enabler within the organization, will want to move towards an environment whereby they have one or more of the executives leading from a digital, from a chief digital officer role perspective. Now, we in IDC believe that if you look at from a telecommunication industry, which is obviously a lot more complicated than the other service provider, because you have, for some of you, 100 years of legacy, while the IT industry is only about 45 years. So when you look at the legacy and the environment, you have network, you have IT operations, you have customer engagement and customer platform, and of course you have new monetization models and platforms that you need to deal with. The DX journey for you is a very, very complex one. And so when we look at the marketplace and we look at the telcos among you and the different roles within the telco environment, in our view is that if you do have a chief operation officer, which means a COO, he or she is in the best position to drive a digital transformation from a holistic fashion. Now, some of your organizations, you have the CMO that drives that. Other organizations, you have the CTO that drives that in the telecommunications. In the service provider, you will have a CIO driving that. And other organizations actually have multiple, at least 2 executive roles driving, or at least in the early days of digital transformation. But when we comb the marketplace, we look at some of the best practices and learnings, and our viewpoint is that whoever who have the visibility from an operation end-to-end perspective is in the best position to drive digital transformation to scale in 2016. Now, because of the complexity of DX in the telecommunications industry, and for some of you in the service provider sector, we have actually come out with our DX Maturityscape framework, where we identify 5 key dimensions, and these are your critical success factors to drive your organization to progress on this journey. Now remember that DX, unlike the third platform is a very IT-centric view. DX is actually a customer-centric business strategy. So the focus is really about business processes, about the industry that you are playing in and the industry that you're entering into. So the 5 dimensions that we are recommending that organizations should look at and prioritize as they take this journey are as follow here: leadership, omni-experience, information, operating model, and work source. And IDC have created multiple research deliverables, so you can go to idc.com if you would like to download a copy of the details as we go through these 5 dimensions and helping organizations. So as my final wrap-up slide, I want to just leave this with you, that one of the key elements to understanding and what you really need to do from a DX perspective is an assessment of where your organization is today as far as digital transformation is concerned. Because if you do not know where you are, clearly you're going to be in a very difficult position to try to understand and do it from a holistic fashion. And this exercise will also showcase basically what your peers and collectively a service provider industry is at in terms of the maturity level of DX. Now, I can tell you in IDC, we do this Maturityscape across many vertical industries: financial services, retail, manufacturing, logistics, transportation, so on and so forth. And the telco industry is certainly not one of the most advanced, for sure. And therefore, we see that urgency just based on the conversations we had in the last 4 months with some of the largest telcos in the world, that moving on to this DX journey is going to be so critical, and it goes beyond just launching new digital services and getting into the OTT, over-the-top space. So we have created this framework. Again, you can find this on idc.com, and there are 5 stages to this framework, from digital resistor to digital disruptor. The majority of the telecommunications players today across our region are in the stage 2 and the stage 3, which means the digital explorer and the digital player stage. So we really want to try to find ways of getting as quickly as possible to the digital transformer or the digital disruptor stage, so that you can actually be relevant and competitive as your marketplace move quickly from just telecommunications to OTT to cloud and now to O2O marketplace, whereby practically in the next 5 years, anyone, including your enterprise customers, can actually be a service provider in the marketplace. Now, some of you this morning, I went around and talked to some of the telcos, and they have actually showed interest that they would like to actually have an understanding of where their organizations are today in terms of DX Maturityscape. So if this is something that you're interested in as part of your attendance package today, we actually are offering this to you at no charge because of your attendance at this event. So if you're interested, whether you're a telecommunications provider or you're a service provider and you would like to just do this, take this test to understand exactly which state your organization is in, then the ladies are going to just go around. You can just put your name card into the fishbowl, and we will come back to you on a time whereby we can do this for you again as part of your attendance today. So with that, thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to a full day of interactions and lots of engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. So now just take some time for those interested participants to drop their name cards in. Thank you.